Right. Hello, everyone. Just want to talk today to Gareth from Swift Rowing. He's going to talk us through their boats and things. And hi, Gareth. Good to see you again.
Yep. Hi, Tim. How you doing?
Yeah, good. Thanks. Good. Thanks. Yeah, it's pretty busy around here. Lots of interviews going on at the moment. So thanks for making time as well, because I know how busy it is at your end. So Gareth and I, we first met, I think, out in Shenzhen in 2019 at the Beach Sprints.
That's right.
And we got to talk about boats and how to develop boats. And I knew Gareth was looking at changing the business and moving Swift along. And it really feels a bit, from my point of view, that Swift is sort of repositioning through coastal rowing and really positioning the brand and the boats, because they're very competitive. Yeah, I just want to talk through, really understand, how did you get into coastal, and a bit more about the background. So could you just take it away from there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, we've been in the rowing business since 2005, and we have distributors in a lot of countries. And our distributor in France was Eurodiffusion, which is a dirty word these days, but that was a good company for a very long time. And the leader in coastal rowing, as I think a lot of people are aware, they were selling our boats in France. We did have some discussions about building coastal together with them. So the discussion really came from their side. However, they changed their mind and said actually they would carry on doing it themselves. Then they changed their mind and said, no, we'll do it with you. And then they went back to doing it themselves. But we'd already had the bug, so we went ahead and did it anyway. We were not particularly looking at the elite part of the market. As I say, our partners were Eurodiffusion, and they were very successful. We thought that we would do what we do with our other boats, which is the economy, the budget version, the everyman boat. I mean, Swift is very much about trying to build the best that we can, but to a certain price point, so that people have access, and we can get more people in boat clubs. So that's pretty much how it started. We find ourselves in a unusual position because the boats have turned out to be very popular because they go pretty well. So instead of being the budget boat, I think the prices are pretty reasonable, but we have the boat that has so far, won a lot of medals. I mean, last year in Portugal, we had a very good result, of course. A lot of cruise racing and winning medals. So
yeah. And so, I mean, I've raced in the boats and even won a few medals in the boats, so that's been good. What would you say your target is now then? Are you looking at a boat for all categories, from the sort of recreation all the way through to racing, or what's your mindset in terms of your target market?
Yep. Well, we've focused very much on the racing side of things, but it was initially supposed to be the budget end of that. We are going to be getting into the more recreational side of things with specific recreational boats that won't meet the feast of spec. They'll be short and light, for example. But we've ended up with I think a boat that could satisfy a lot of people that are looking to race at whatever level. We've just started producing what we're calling currently high performance, but we're in between names at the moment. We haven't figured it out. We started to build the boats, but we don't know what we're calling them. A lighter weight boat, not necessarily any faster, but something that would compete or be an alternative, let's say, to a Philippi, which are coming in massively underweight. Some people want that, and we would like to be able to give that to them.
And is that for handling? Because I know, 35 kilos for a single or 60 for a double, or I hate to think what it is for a quad. I can't remember, but I know it's pretty damn heavy. Is it for handling on the beach, or is it for performance on the water that you're taking the weight out? What's the thinking?
It's 100% about handling out of the water. We're not going to see these boats go any faster because they're lighter. I mean, first of all, they're going to have weights added back in, but even if they didn't, I really don't believe that we would see an improvement in the performance just because they're a couple of percent lighter. You have to, of course, everyone understands this, but you have to factor in the rower's weight as well. So it becomes pretty small. Conversely, we might actually see more damage with a lighter built boat, which, if that puts you out of the race, that's catastrophic. But you're not 10% slower, you're not finishing the race. So these aren't necessarily built to be the race boat. If people decide that's what they want to do, then we can't really stop them. But my preference would be that people stay with boats which are built to the FISA weight, not below, and race those and hopefully do well in them.
Yeah, great. And the weights, I mean, people have used different techniques, haven't they? I think Felipe sort of bolts plates into the bottom of their boats, and some of the others recommend using sandbags and things. How does the weight get put in? Have you got an idea on that?
Yeah, it would be steel weights, yeah, which is, in my opinion, quite a waste. It'd be okay. There are situations where you might really want to have a lightweight boat for day-to-day use, and then you're obliged to put metal weights into the boat for racing. It's unavoidable. I suppose it's legitimate, it's fair enough, but other than that, I would, like I say, I would go with a boat that's built to the right weight to start with.
Yeah, great. And when are those boats coming out? It sounds like, because I'm looking at the range now, it'd be great if you could talk us through the existing range, and then when these other boats are going to come along, if you give us an idea of that, if you can.
Sure. Yep. So we've had one grade of boat for the past 4 or 5 years, which we've called Club Performance. We've now started building a full honeycomb carbon version, which we're temporarily calling High Performance. We'll have to do something about that soon. We may well add a lower cost grade to the lineup as well, which would be overweight, but without any honeycomb in it, because the current club boats, in fact, do have honeycomb in certain areas just to get the weights down.
Okay.
So we'd be looking at a boat which doesn't have any honeycomb, which would be slightly heavy, but would be a lot easier to repair if it did have problems.
Great.
That's on the grade side of things. On the hull shapes, we have 2 singles. We have what we call the 102, which is the boat that most people see and use. It's a good all-round boat. It's winning medals just alongside the 103, which is our other boat. It's slightly more stable. The 103 is pretty tight. I mean, it meets the rules for FISA, the boat widths, but within that, it's quite a sleek boat. You need the skills.
Yeah.
This wouldn't be the boat for a beginner to start to row with, and it might not do as well in the rough either. But for people who like a challenge and have the skills, it's a lot of fun. On the double, we just have the one design, which again is doing quite well. It's reasonably stable, but going pretty fast. And we have one quad, which is knocking spots off everybody.
Yeah, I love it. Love to see that look on your face, mischievous look, to put it out there. Yeah.
And I love the quad.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, we've had some fun in all those boats, so I appreciate that. So what about the smaller model then? When's that coming along? You talked about having a smaller, I guess, more recreational boat.
Yeah. So something that's quite current with us is the diversification of our production. So as you know, and I think everybody knows, Swift is producing in China. We are just about to start some production in Turkey, and we are starting with Coastal single, the 102 and the 202. The 102 is already in production, not quite ready for sale, but the 202 will be quite close behind. The first boats I think were made this week. Once we're happy with how those look, so probably in a month, maybe 2 months, we will get to work on the recreational single, which we're aiming for 1 meter short, so 5 meters instead of 6. We'll see what the weight comes down to. I can imagine people wanting to have the light version, the all carbon, all honeycomb boat, because I can imagine this is a boat where people are moving it around on and off the roof, taking on holidays, that kind of thing. And once that's done, then we'll do a double. I'm not sure how much interest there'll be, but
yeah, that sounds exciting.
So, yeah,
great stuff. Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing those on the water then. So yeah, I think that's excellent. You've caught me by surprise with a few of these, so this is great news to hear about the developments. And where do you see next then? So it sounds like that's going to take you a while to sort that lot out. And what happens afterwards? Where do you see the whole thing going, the whole scene going afterwards?
I mean, for us, we'll see how these first 4 boats go in Turkey. I'm not sure if there's enough demand to justify having quads produced in 2 places. We'll see. I have some ideas for a hybrid coastal gig quad, but yeah, that's for something a bit specific outside of coastal, in fact. So we'll have to do another interview for that, maybe.
Yeah.
And I'm also looking to fill in the gaps between, a traditional FISA boat and a racing single, along the lines of what is called in the US open water rowing. So something a little bit smaller, a bit more agile, and a lot lighter. For those who just want to have fun and are not necessarily interested in the FISA spec or FISA racing. Yeah,
that's great. That's really good, Gareth. Thanks for that. And thanks for the time, especially it sounds like you've got a lot on your plate, as we said at the beginning, but yeah, I really appreciate the time spent telling us a bit about where Swift's going and continue to go from strength to strength. Thanks again.
You're very welcome. Anytime.
Thank you.
Cheers.
See you soon. Bye. Bye.